Welcome, John, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Scour, this new album Gold, and more things related to the metal world in general. So we are starting by asking how is the band in the last 5 years, because your previous EP Black was released in 2020 during the pandemic, and now we have this new album Gold.
It's been going great. Thanks for having me. We just finished up the record last year, of course, and luckily we did a show recently in New Orleans in November. So it was great to get the band back together and gigging, and we got to play a few new songs at the show, which was great. Uh, but yeah, it's great to have the gold finally come out, and great to get the band back together. Of course, like I mentioned, playing live is a big deal, and we got the Milwaukee Metal Fest coming up, so we're already putting together things to get ready for that. So it's great.
Mm. Okay, okay. Well, the next question I think is a common one because when do you decide to start Scour, and why do you decide to start Scour? Why is it needed to create a band like Scour? Because and also how do you recruit all members? Because all members came from a different bands, a well-known bands: Adam Jarvis, Philip Anselmo, Derek Engelman, and the list continues. So how do you decide to create this project black metal, and why do you decide to lean down the black metal? For you, what is important to you that the black metal has that other styles hasn't?
Well, being a part of it and it being black metal was a big part of me wanting to do it because I wouldn't want to be in another grindcore band or drum machine. It was something different for me right off the bat. But really, when Derek and I were on tour with it was Cannibal Corpse was the headlining band, and I was tour managing the band Derek was in, and we would just find little spots to record, and he'd show me these demos, and I'd record bass on it, and that's really how the Scour started. And then we had to say, hey, all right, who are we going to get in this band? Who are we going to get to sing? Who are we going to get on drums? And right off the bat, we were like, we shouldn't get Mark and Adam because this makes too much sense. We're already in too many bands together. And so it was kind of strange that it ended up that way with Mark and Adam. But it started with Jesse, who now plays in Storm Ruler on drums, and Chase, who played in Decrepit Birth and Animosity. So it kind of just happened one night, and when we were hanging out, and I saw Chase, I said, "Hey, would you want to play lead guitar in this band?" And then I messaged Phil, "Do you want to sing for this band?" It was pretty much that easy.
Hmm? Okay, okay. So and now, you Scour Borns in the world 2015. Then automatically you release three EPs: gray, red, and black. So and now, what did change your mind to create a new album? Because three EPs, one album. What motivates you to create an album? And especially, I thought this because we are living in a world that prefers smaller productions and no long full lengths.
Well, you're right. It's the short attention span is a real thing, and we really had an idea of doing three EPs with 6 tracks each, and we didn't know if that would actually happen. We hoped it would happen, and we actually have a long plan for the band, and this was the next part of the plan was full length record. Really, the three EPs were to build up the band, and then we hit them with the big full length. So
Hmm.
that was really the plan from the beginning, and luckily it's stuck through, and here we are.
Hmm. Okay, now, as I said, all members here are very busy with their own projects. So how do you handle the presentation live? Because there's very Philip Anselmo playing with Down, Pantera, Philip Anselmo, Adam Jarvis playing like 1,000 bands because he's a great drummer. So now you have other bands, Derek also, Mark also. How do you handle all these like the stars bands? Because there's all people are busy with their projects.
All right. Luckily, we have people like Kate that helps out, and it comes down to if we get some great offer, we immediately got to see, what time of year is it, and first thing I usually do is look at Pantera.com and see if Pantera's on tour. And, then you go down the line. Oh, is Down playing? No. And then, then you start thinking, okay, maybe it's realistic. And then you start messaging the band members and seeing, maybe Pig Destroyer's got a show, maybe Misery Index is on tour. So you're right, there's a lot going on. So it's not easy to schedule. That's why it's important, like when we do festivals, like, all right, we know we could do this festival, but around that weekend we all got shows with other bands. So like Adam has to fly into the festival because he's got shows with Pig Destroyer that weekend, and I got shows the days before and after with Nest, and and Phil's got shows with Down. So we're all really busy, but we enjoy Scour so much that we always make time for it.
Mhm. Interesting. Well, reading a lot of information about biography and each songs of your EPs, and now for this new album, for this gold album, I denoted one thing that for me is curious, because usually when you create a song, you put two words, three words on the name of the song, but now all songs from Scour and just one song from your first EP, Tear Gas, is has two words. The songs are just one word. So, how what are you decide? Well, so what kind of influence, or what can we the fan thinks about this just one word in all songs and all albums, and obviously the name of the band is Scour, just one song.
Well, I mean, I think it was maybe part of the plan to keep things short and sweet with the band. The songs were always short and sweet and catchy. Uh, and this is Phil wrote all the lyrics for the songs, but the I did a few song titles for the samples, for example, and I always made sure those were one word, just because it kind of flew with the other songs, and that was really all Phil's idea to keep them all short and sweet with the song titles.
Oh, okay, okay. And other detail about the all songs from, especially for all songs from the cover arts from Scour. Usually all cover arts are black and just the color change: gray,
Right.
red, black, and gold. And what are the reasons that you decide to just put the name of the album and just the color of the name of the band change?
Well, first it came out of just I just don't like dealing with artwork. It's just something I don't like dealing with. I know the rest of the band members think it is important. Don't get me wrong, artwork's very important. But for this first Scour, we said when we just put the logo out, it was got such a reaction,
Mhm.
and it, good and bad about So we said we just keep doing it, and when we changed it to red and then changed it to black, I just loved it. I thought it was great. And then I wasn't sure if we were gonna call it gold or not. I didn't know if Phil was gonna make it a different title. It was really his call. And then we kind of joked about calling it gold, like, and it just kind of stuck. And yeah, I don't know if it's just the artwork. It wasn't like a decision. Let's just not do cover artwork. It just kind of happened that way, and it's okay with me. But maybe for the next record, we should get some real artwork. I don't know. We'll stick with it. Who knows
Oh,
what we'll do next? I don't know.
okay, okay. And now, well, the other big question about the names. So how do you choose the name of your album, and how do you try to convey something that encompasses the entire concept of the album, with the name of the album, with the music and the cover art. Because sometimes it's very important when you see a cover art. Some, for example, Enthroned of the Devil inside of the Disembowelment Madness. I don't know. The name of the album could be like that, but some people like long names or like meaning the meaning of the album. But with gold, I'm trying to relate the music, gold, black metal, and don't fit. So how do you relate these old concepts with the black metal music?
Yeah, I think that's another really more of a Phil question, I guess, since it was
Mhm.
all his. But I guess yeah, it really comes down to his concept for this record. It stemmed from some different books he was reading, and a lot of the lyrics throughout the record intertwine in the same story. So it is kind of a concept record in that respect, but I think just changing the color of each record has just kind of been a just something we do, and I guess we're sticking with it for now. And if Phil wanted to call it the purple record or the pink record or whatever he wanted, we would, we'd be like, all right, that's cool. Let's switch it up. So yeah, I guess it's just what the Scour Boys do is we change it up. And I mean the songs and the if you ask me, they've grown. The band's got a lot. We've kind of got our style now, I think, and it's perfect for the first full length to have finally, the band knows what we're doing. All right, here it is.
Mhm. Okay, okay. So now talking about other more like the promotion of this new album. What kind of plans do you have for this new album? Well, we spoke about it. You have all members has a busy schedule to promote a full long tour, full length tours, or go to the different countries with this new band. So, what kind of plans do you have? Do you have you releasing more videos? You are working a new album for the band, or perhaps you will come for the first time Latin America in a full tour. Who knows?
No, that'd be sure be nice to do a full tour. But yeah, like you just mentioned, we're all so busy. Phil's on tour till uh, March with Pantera. So when the record comes out, he'll be somewhere in Europe playing a Pantera show. But what I've learned is they each night between the bands they'll have little screens on the side that have QR codes to purchase Scour record and other housecore records. So there is some advertising going on during the Pantera tour, which is
Mhm.
cool. And yes, we got little campaigns, we call them, of different clips. Mark had a great idea about we're doing like a history of the band clips and stuff leading up. We're doing giveaways through Milwaukee Metal Fest. Like I think they're going to give away a 24 karat gold cassette of the gold album. They'll do that leading up to the release of the record. So yeah, there's a lot of little online things we're doing and videos. I'm actually leaving tomorrow or in a couple days to go fly and do a video for ESP Guitars for one of the songs. So that's cool. So we're still promoting, doing interviews all day today and tomorrow also. So yeah, it's constantly trying to pump up the record, let people know it's coming out. There's still a lot of people that have never heard Scour, and
Mhm.
you know, so we're
No.
still trying to break to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, that is right. And now, well, how do you feel about this new release compared to your previous one, came out during a difficult time due to the pandemic? Because the previous EP was released during the pandemic, and now we are beyond of the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it was way different then. We had to release it because it was it was done for so long, and you didn't know what was going to happen, so you just got to roll with it. And of course, we did the live stream like everyone else does, and everyone else did at the time. And so that's what we could do. We did what we could to promote it, and that's really all you can do. And this time around, luckily, it's a little bit elevated because Phil being on tour with Pantera, Now there's a lot of old Pantera fans who had never heard of Scour listening to it for the first time. A lot of them don't like it, and that's okay. We're not, we're not for everybody.
Mhm.
But a lot of the Pantera fans are saying, "Wow, I had no idea this existed." And like, if you get on the YouTube comments for the last two videos we put out, every hour you'll hear a comment from someone saying, "I had no idea this existed. This is great," And but then you'll have the opposite too. You'll get some negative comments from, "This doesn't sound like Pantera. What's the matter?" You know, and that's okay too. We're not trying to sound like any other band, so we're just trying to be the Scour Boys.
Mhm. Okay, and one thing that you commented about this one because when I hear for the first time in your great EP in 2016, a lot of people related automatically with bands from your past, Big Destroyer, I go for a Nosebleed, Pantera, and these people expect some result that the disc scour will be sounds like that. So how do you feel about this comment? Hey, this not how the band reacts about these comments. Hey, the Scour doesn't sound like the Pantera or Pig Destroyer. It's more Norwegian. It's no more Scandinavian black metal. So how do you as the band as the creator of the band reacted about these comments? Is fan some of this comment piece off? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, it's so crazy because you know we 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 don't want to sound like any of our other bands, of course. Like I mentioned before, it wouldn't make sense to start Scour and then be like, let's sound exactly like Pig Destroyer. Let's try to do Pig Destroyer but better. It doesn't make any sense to do that. Just like it wouldn't make any sense to say, hey, let's start a rap metal band and try to be better than Rage Against the Machine. It's not going to happen. So why bother? But we could try to put a twist on something that, like, Derek's very into black metal. So is Phil. It's something they really love, and they put a twist on it to where to get people like me to like it, because I really wasn't into black metal as much as they were. Like, I enjoyed bands like Mayhem, and seeing them live was great. Like, I kind of clicked for me then. I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. But Scour, when people hear us for the first time and they're kind of shocked, I love that. And there's been times where we'll be listening to a mix in the van and the sound guy will go, "What are you guys listening to?" And we say, "Hey, this is Scour," and they're just like, "This is what Scour sounds like?" I had no idea. It's like, it's because you never listened to us. If you gave us a chance, maybe you would have known. But I think a lot of people are shocked and pleasantly surprised when they hear us for the first time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm surprised for the first time when I hear because all members came from a different kind of music, no black metal. And when I hear for the first time Gray, oh, this is black metal. So also I hear in the past Anselmo can sings a black metal stuff with Necrophagia or other bands or more brutal stuff. I remember that era. So now talking about other kind of topics and related more for the music industry now. As you can see, you mentioned one thing. For you, it's nothing important right now, the cover art. For other people, it's very important. So that's why a lot of people are pissed off with Deicide, with Kerry King, with My Dying Bride, Catatonia, Pestilence. There are the fans especially are mad because these bands are using AI to create the cover art and not just for the music and not just for the cover art. Sorry, creating for everything music, art, etc., etc. But just the people are mad because the band has the complete freedom to create wherever they want because it's their art, not the art of the fans. But the fans are really pissed off about using the AI in a lot of new stuff, and just get angry when saw the cover art. But now, as you can see, you're working as a musician. There's a lot of plugins using by the AI that contribute into the music record better in the studio. Right now, a lot of musicians are not playing with amps. It's not a lot of musicians play directly with the console, directly without amps to sound better. That's completely normal, and it's technology, it's AI in some ways. So just the people get mad for the cover art, but they cannot see what's going on right now in the show presentations, in the music industry, into the recording process of the styles, plugins, etc., happen a lot of time. So now, what's your point of view about now this? The fans are mad with just the face of the artificial intelligence, and not with the deep intelligence, artificial intelligence that is continued involvement with the developing with the music.
Right. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of bands that are not, I mean, there's bands that pop up that are just AI bands, which is kind of crazy, you know. I don't know why anyone would want to listen to anything like that, but maybe people do. I don't know. But uh, we've never used it for anything, you know, and it's kind of scary when to think about like if they took Phil's voice and our artificially intelligence Phil, and they could use him in the future for all this other shit. It's fucking weird, you know. And I don't know. It's kind of like the Kiss Avatar thing. Like, would I go to a Kiss Avatar show? It's not really Kiss up there. I don't think so,
Mm.
and I don't think I'm gonna go to any artificial intelligence bands concerts either. You know, I don't know if that would ever happen. I guess it could be like the Gorillas, where it just be cartoons or something. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it doesn't sound like fun to me. You know, I want to see a drummer. I want to see the bass player headbanging. You know, so yeah, it's a fast changing industry right now. It's shit's getting fucking weird, and it's been weird for 5 years. And you just kind of got to adapt with it. But at some point, you got to either. This is what I've been saying. For example, my new record I was just working on, I decided to do it all digital or analog as much as I could. Get real guitar sounds, real bass sounds, real drum sounds, and microphone just like they would in 1977. You know, instead of using uh, computers and my interface into my dark glass. You know what I mean? You could kind of sound you could tell when it's artificially recorded too, you know. And when you hear, like, for example, the new Blood Incantation record, I don't know if you've heard that, but the
Mm.
record, you could tell it's recorded in a real studio. You know, it's not some guy on a computer. uh, but I wish more bands would do that. I understand it's not easy and cheap for every band to go into a studio, and sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, it's going to be a weird couple years when, and like you said with the artwork too, it's like if you just type in I need a cover, I don't know how they're doing it, but there's some sort of human interaction with that, I would imagine. uh but yeah, no one wants to take jobs away from human artists, you know.
Mm.
And even though Scour doesn't use artwork, we actually pay an artist to do the logo and the colors, and so we pay Kane Gillis to do that. It's, you know,
Mm.
it's important to keep all artists working, I think, you know.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, so now other topic that I is right now as a as a fan, as a reviewer, as a reviewer, when I hear a lot of bands now, that is completely normal that all these kind of new bands or new productions sounds perfect. You can hear many bands, and these many bands sounds perfect, well executed, and a lot of things. Great cover art, great sound, great musicians, everything perfect. Nothing bad, nothing wrong, etc., etc. And one thing, because I asked you this, because when you create albums like or bands like Big Destroyer or Agaforabor or Nosblick, you are coming from a different area from the extreme music, like grindcore or more stuff, hardcore noise, and this kind of stuff. But I remember when I was in the 80s or in the 90s, when you hear 10 bands, 10 albums, and these 6 albums are great, and 4 albums are not great. That's completely normal. But now
Uh,
you have 10 albums, and the 10 albums sounds great, sound amazing. No one sounds bad. So now we reach to that point that is everything in this world right now has a standardization of the sound. All sounds perfect. Nothing sounds bad. So now you as a musician, you are coming from a more organic way to create the music or record the music. What is your opinion about now these old records that each came out during, I don't know, each weekend we have thousands of records that sounds perfect. None of these records sounds bad.
yeah, it's easy to do. I mean, yeah, I could get on my computer and really edit. I could spend all day editing and making sure every riff is perfect and, you know, cutting into the song, like, all right, I'm going to punch in right here and I'm going to get that little lick perfect. It's like, but I like to just hit record, play the whole song. And if there's a big mess up in there, I'll just redo the whole thing. I think it's easier than punching in and out. And but you can punch in and out, you can make it super easy, you could take your time with it. And that's the thing that, like, you couldn't do back in the 80s. You can't go into the studio and be like, let's spend all day on this guitar riff and make sure it's perfect. That cost a lot of money.
Mhm.
But there's pros and cons to all that. And like I said earlier, it's like I kind of sometimes I'll mess up a little bit, and I'm like, I hear back, and I'm like, oh, I don't hate that. I think I'm going to keep the little mess up just to have the human element in there.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Other topic, and now as you can see, there's a lot of new bands releasing each weekend. Each weekend, a thousand of releases has they're releasing their albums or productions independently without supervision or without help with a label. Now you are with Nuclear Blast because Nuclear Blast know well, and you are well-known musicians into extreme music. So all the time you are supported by big labels, by the big promotions, because you are well known. You earned this situation to be there. But now well unknown musicians releasing continue albums, continue singles, EPs by themselves. There's no enough labels to release these kind of albums. So now for you, how important is to have a band and work with a label now, because the tendencies now is to release independently everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to that. They're going to take their cut, of course, which they deserve. But on the pro side, they're going to put our records in stores over there where we don't live. We don't live in Europe. We don't, and just to ship from here over there to each store would cost an arm and a leg. It's very expensive to ship big boxes of CDs or records. It's very, very expensive. So it's great to have them over there backing us and getting our records into stores and promoting us well on their YouTube page. It is a pretty big deal, and they put out records constantly too. Like you said, there's no shortage of new records coming out for Nuclear Blast or any other label, which is great. And there's pros and cons to that too. It gets kind of oversaturated, but it's a good time right now if you can have a label backing you, and it helps out when you're booking shows too. When you could say, we have Nuclear Blast going to help promote this, and Housecore Records also, teaming up with them. So it's nice to have the team working together and to help promote, because they want to get the word out there for us too. They want to sell records for us.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Well, and another topic around the world is that a lot of musicians and this we are close to the end of this interview, John, and it will be the last question. So, a lot of well-known musicians are complaining about how the music industry turned off, because as you can see, there's more listening Spotify platform or digital platforms with the music, no physical records selling more. Now the bands are selling and need to focus more in gigs and gigs, tours about this one, and also the label are working just more in tours and not just more the physical stuff. And also, a lot of musicians like Jack from Exodus, Nergal for Behemoth said that is now the new musician doesn't have the way that it was the 80s or the 90s, something like that, because there's a lot saturated musician. The music industry is not like it was be so it was so it was in the 80s, 70s, or 90s, or the beginnings of 2000s. Now there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of music. And for all these people, well-known musicians say that the music industry right now is dead because there's too musicians, too much records, and not enough, and the people doesn't buy records.
Yeah, back in the 90s and 80s, like you said, you would go buy 10 records and hope that they were all great. And sometimes you'd take a loss. You'd pop a CD in and be like, ooh, they're just cost me $15, and you just had to deal with it. And totally different world today. I get on my Spotify and check out the new records on Friday, and if it's something really great, I will purchase the vinyl. But it ain't like it was when I was a kid, when every Tuesday I would go buy a record. It was just part of the week. And if there wasn't a new release on Tuesday that I'd buy some old classic or something. But the trip to the record store was a weekly thing for me back then. And it's just not anymore, and I'm sure it's the way it is for a lot of people. But it's what else can you do? If you can't beat them, you got to join them. You can't just say I pull our stuff off of Spotify because they're not paying people enough. I mean, you could, but then you lose money and you lose fans. And it'd be nice if they'd pay us more money, but the way I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I had a recent conversation with Charlie Benante from Anthrax about it, and he was just like, "Hey, man, it's nothing new. They'll always find a way to fuck us over. They're fucking us over back then in just different ways, and now they're gonna fuck us over on the streaming, and in 10 years they'll figure a way to fuck us over on whatever else is going on." So it's just the way the music business is, and what can you do except for just roll with it, man?
Mm. Okay. Well, yeah, that is true. That is true. Well, John, we arrived to the sad moment of this interview. I hope you enjoyed this interview like me. This new Gold album is a great one. I've been listening all morning. So, tremendous album. Congratulations. I did
Thank
my
you, thank you.
pre-order. I hope arrive soon. So, in perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Methalarium followers?
Hey, we hope to come down someday. It'd be great to come do a tour or some festivals down there. We hope to be there soon. Thank you.